All right, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, going back into NFL Weekly. If you're not familiar with NFL Weekly, let me explain how we do it. Have the first portion of the video, which is typically the shorter portion. We just talk about the standings, biggest headlines of the week. Second portion of the video, which takes up the majority of the video, we do a deep dive analysis on 3 different teams and talk about why they're successful, why they're unsuccessful. And it's not the most in-depth stuff, but we talk we go into it, to say the least. So anyway, last week was a fun week of football. This week, well, injuries, man. We'll talk about that shortly. But first things first, looking at the American Football Conference, AFC. Dolphins 2-0, Jets, Bills 1-1, and Patriots falling to the Dolphins in week 2. And the Jets losing to the Cowboys. Pretty rough outing. Bills dominating the Raiders. Raiders, Chiefs tied at 1-1. Chargers surprisingly going 0-2. That's a pretty big headline. I know a lot of teams we're going to talk about. I know a lot of teams that we talk about being contenders. Chargers were up there, and starting 0-2 does not help, obviously, but it's just unexpected, even for non-Chargers fans, because obviously if you're a fan, you expect the most, but even for non-fans, I gotta say that's pretty surprising. Broncos, I didn't think they'd start 0-2, to be honest. I thought they would win week 2 against the Commanders, but they are 0-2. Looking at the Ravens, huge win against the Bengals. Bengals, another team starting at 0-2. That's pretty rough. Steelers 1-1, beating the Browns. We'll get into that a little bit shortly as well. Jaguars 1-1, Colts 1-1, Titans 1-1. Honestly, this division is nothing to write home about. You expect the Jaguars to take the division. Looking at the NFC, Cowboys, Eagles, and Commanders 2-0, Giants 1-1. Ugly win against the Cards. 49ers look insane. We're going to actually talk about them in the second half of the video, but we'll get there when we get there. Looking at the NFC North, I mean, I didn't expect the Lions to lose against the Seahawks, to be honest with you. 1-1 for them. Vikings 0-2, Bears 0-2. The Vikings is surprising 0-2, to be honest with you. Last season they were 12-4. Was it 13-4? Or because 12-4 is impossible now because there's 17 games. So I think they might have been 13-4, some number like that. Falcons looks solid, you know. The Browns lose Nick Chubb for the season. That is probably the biggest headline because he is a top 5 running back in the league. He is somebody who has shown consistently that he is going to fight for yards and threat to take it to the house every time he touches the ball. So it's really unfortunate to see that happen. Another pretty big headline is Deshaun Watson looks like shit still. And, you know, people are happy about that because of his off the field big issues. I'm not just going to say issues, definitely big issues. But he does look like shit, and that was unexpected for it to really just last this long. Bengals, huge headline going on too, along with the Chargers, along with what was the other team I was talking about? It wasn't the Patriots. That is a pretty big headline in itself, right? I might be on the NFC. The Vikings going 0-2. Yeah, so that's just rough. Talking about the Falcons very briefly, because we're not going to talk about them in the second half of the video. The Falcons look pretty solid with their run game, but John Robinson, like I said, super electric, making moves on moves. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up for the first portion of the video. Like I said, it's mostly just looking at the standings and seeing some crazy big headlines. But anyway, let's get to the second half of the video, dive deep on that. I'll see you there. All right, first things first, on this portion of the video, we're going to talk about, drumroll please, boom, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, they're a team I really wanted to talk about this week because week 1 absolutely dominate the Steelers. Was not a close match at all. From the very beginning, it was like, God damn, this team is just better. They're just flat out better. Then you go into week 2, and if you watch that first half, it was looking like it was, even the second half, it was looking like it was going to be a much closer game than most people would have thought. The Niners defense could not get a stop to save their lives. I think the Rams had 17, I believe. Let me just check this. They had 17 points in the first half. The Niners had some clutch drives to, you know, not allow the Rams to gain momentum every time they had to score and put some points on the board. They definitely did. What I will say that was very surprising about this game Brock Purdy was missing some key throws. He had to throw to Debo for a first down conversion that he missed. He had to throw to Debo that could have been a touchdown that he missed. He had to throw to, I believe, Brandon Ayuk for a touchdown that he missed, or someone else, but he was missing on some key plays, and I'm just like, dude, it's one thing to do this against the Rams, because let's be honest, we're not expecting the Rams to compete like some of these other elite teams. For example, the Eagles. It's one thing to do it against a team like the Rams, but if you do this to a team like the Eagles or like the Cowboys right now with the way they're playing, you're going to be in some deep shit. And I don't know if it was just an off day, but even his footwork looked a little off. For example, going back to that third down where he missed the throw to Deebo Samuel, his footwork looked pretty off, just out of whack, made the throw, completely missed the mark. And it was like a 5-yard pass, mind you. And again, it's just about attention to detail that's super important. And I wouldn't be talking about this. I'm nitpicking, but I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't think the Niners were serious contenders. I definitely think they are serious contenders. But to be a serious contender, you have to have attention to detail. It's the little things. I thought their offense looked extremely explosive. They have weapons on weapons. Christian McCaffrey, notably. Although I will say, having 100% snap count, all the snaps that the offense had, Christian McCaffrey was literally involved. He did not get off the field offensively, and that to me is just too much for a guy like him, who you want him to be healthy all season long. Let's dial it back a bit. You still have Elijah Mitchell to come and take some snaps, especially just some runs down the middle. You can definitely hand it to Elijah Mitchell. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is more explosive, but it's week 2. Granted, they were against division rivals, so I get it, but you probably want to dial that back. Also, Brandon Ayuk did get some sort of shoulder injury that was limiting him all throughout the game, not getting the same amount of snaps that it normally does. But this Niners team, from top to bottom, like I said, looking at offensively, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, there's a name that I haven't thrown out here at all, and he hasn't really been making any noise in the first 2 weeks. That's George Kittle. George Kittle is someone who can definitely build up the yards after catch. You pass it to this dude on a 5-10 yard pass, he's going to turn it into a 30-yard play because he is just a monster running down the field, very relentless. He only had 3 catches for 30 yards in week 2. Week 1, I'll double check, but it was not much better. It was 3 catches for 19 yards in week 1 against Pittsburgh. I mean, 3 targets week 2, 6 targets week 1. This is somebody who they have at their disposal, whom they're not really utilizing to their fullest in terms of getting the ball to him and game planning for him. Right now, they have him blocking a lot. So you still haven't even unlocked all that this 49ers team has to offer. You get into the defensive side of things, Nick Bosa is obviously a beast, but Fred Warner, whom people have been talking about for a very long time, is definitely showing how good he is. Being a field general, yes, field general. This dude seemingly has coverage locked down, and then whenever he's going for any open field tackles or a blitzing play where he's trying to get to the quarterback, he just seems to be everywhere. And that's something about Fred Warner that you can always appreciate. Yeah, and Kyle Shanahan seemingly has, anytime they need something to happen, dude, like he seemingly has a play ready to go. Just an amazing scheme for Brock Purdy to work with. The dude always has guys that are open. All he's got to do is deliver. Again, he didn't deliver on some throws. Had me a little worried moving forward because some of the throws were there. Like, just flat out wide open guys, and he just missed. Now, again, it could be an off day. I could be overthinking it. But against elite teams, you're not going to have those opportunities time and time again. And it can come back to haunt you. So, got to be more consistent with that. Got to polish that up. But the 49ers absolutely look dangerous. Absolutely look like contenders. Do not take them lightly. They need to be taken with the utmost serious fucking mentality, because this team is a threat. This team is really a threat. And that's 9 regular season games in a row now where the Niners beat the Rams. Could be playoff games too, but I know that's for sure 9 games. I'm assuming it's just regular season, but that shows just how much the Niners have just owned the Rams in the Sean McVay era. Honestly, it's pretty gnarly. But anyway, on to team 2. All right, team 2, give me a drum roll, please. Boom. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wanted to talk about them because they were a Monday night game, prime time. A lot of America watching this team, and a lot of what America saw is a lot of what I'm going to talk about, in that Steelers offense is a serious issue, to say the least. Kenny Pickett has just not looked good at all. 15 for 30, 222 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 74 of those yards, or whatever the pass was to George Pickens, was from 1 play. The run game as well. Let's talk about the run game real quick. Najee Harris, 10 carries, 43 yards. Jaylen Warren, 6 carries, 20 yards. It's just not good football. It just looked like they didn't have much going, right? They couldn't really scheme up players open. Every time they did, it seems like Kenny Pickett just couldn't really spot them, or he couldn't really get it to him. Deontay Johnson is a good receiver, but I don't even know if he can fix this offense. It's hard because Najee Harris 2 years ago, his rookie season looked like a beast. Last year, he still had 1,000 scrimmage yards, maybe even rushing yards. I'm pretty sure it's at least scrimmage yards, but it could be rushing yards. But anyway, he just looks slow this year. 2 games in, and he's had very minimal impact on to what, he brings to the run game. In terms of the pass catching attack, doesn't bring much to that. He had 3 targets, no catches. Jaylen Warren has looked definitely more explosive, but right now they're splitting the backfield, so it's not fun to watch, because you feel like with the weapons this team has, even Calvin Austin, if you want to talk about him, this dude is an absolute speedster. You could definitely use him more as a gadget player. Allen Robinson's definitely not what he once was, but George Pickens is an absolute highlight reel. And of course, if Deontay Johnson's there, you have someone who is just extremely elusive, someone who can catch and go the distance. So all you need really is an average offense, and this team is really good because on the flip side, their defense is fucking fantastic. TJ Watt leading the way, 100%. Literally, you saw it on history being made. TJ Watt passing James Harrison for the Steelers, all-time sack record. This dude, time and time again, just can't be stopped. He just can't be stopped. And then they did have some big plays. First play of the game, the pick 6 by Highsmith, was it? Yeah, Highsmith. Phenomenal awareness to be able to get to that ball. Good concentration catching it after the tip. But I will say this. 2 touchdowns from your defense is not sustainable. The Pittsburgh Steelers scored 26 points. So let's take away 14 points from that total. That's 12 points. That's a bad outing. That is just bad. Even the first week, they had 10 points, or what was it? 7 points against the Niners. 7 points first week, 12 points the second week. And that's because your defense was definitely helping you in terms of getting you the ball. Forced punts, so it's like this Steelers offense, I don't know what it is, if it's a combination of Kenny Pickett sucking ass, the offensive line struggling, the run game struggling. It's just, there's no excuses for it, to be honest with you. Najee Harris did have a catch. It was a catch for 0 yards, though. Maybe if it's Matt Canada that's the problem, not drawing up the right plays. I know there was a stat of week 1, he called the same play 7 or 8 times or some crazy shit. That was a blowout. But even then, I've never heard anyone call the same play that many times in one game. Granted, again, how many times do we really hear about that kind of stuff? But maybe that's why we did hear about it, is because it's just that unorthodox, and it was like, really, bro, why are you doing that this much? But it's not an ideal time for the Pittsburgh offense to really struggle like this, because again, the defense is delivering, same like they did last year. But I feel like the Steelers, they're a team that's been solid for a long time, but they just have never had the offense to back it up. So again, for me personally, it'd be nice to see him having the spotlight, but yeah, frustrating time. Anyway, going on to team number 3. Okay, this is unorthodox for me to do this, but I decided to show you guys some clips, right? So team number 3, we're going to talk about the Chicago Bears and how bad Justin Fields has been. And I liked a lot of posts from Reddit just to show some give you guys some insight on what's going on. So right here, let me pause the play. Okay, play right here. Justin Fields dropping back. Can't seem to find anyone. Holding onto the ball for way too goddamn long. Watch the play unfold from DJ Moore's perspective. Cuts to the left. Definitely open. He's like, bro, I'm there. You know, looking at the reads, you got a guy right here that are open, and Justin Fields just holds on to the ball for way too long. The Bears have had Justin Fields start 27 games so far in the NFL. They are 5-22 in those games. He has been sacked 101 times. His completion percentage is 59.8%, which is bad, by the way. He has thrown 26 touchdowns to 24 interceptions, which is god-awful, by the way. That's a terrible touchdown-interception ratio. He has fumbled 31 times, 8 times lost. So 8 times in 27 games, it's not that bad. I mean, the 31 times fumbled, but was he going out of balance when he lost it, or was it actually out on the field for anyone to pick up? Let's actually look at the rest of this. He's averaging just 156.5 passing yards per game in his career, which is awful. And after rushing for over 1,000 yards last season, the Bears have had Fields carry the ball just 13 times in 2 games. It's not getting any easier. Chicago's traveling to Kansas City. Justin Fields has taken 10 sacks this season, 9 of which have come after 4+ seconds. Since 2021, he has taken 79 of those sacks, 16 more than any QB in NFL. 4+ seconds. That's just holding on to the ball for too long. It's honestly like it's inexcusable to be that unaware and to have no game sense going on. Read, nothing. You have legs, go. And not just any legs, he is fast as hell. So it's like read, nothing there. Like there's got to be a clock in your head. You got to be kind of counting down like, nope. Okay, I have to go now. So that is really frustrating. Chicago Bears head coach Matt Eberflus said on ESPN 1000 that the screenplay in the fourth quarter that led to a pick 6 was a good play call, but they just have to execute better. Matt also said Justin Fields has a lot of audible if he looks at a play and doesn't like what he sees. Look at the top comment for this one. I'm sure it was a great play call considering Lavonte David pointed out that they knew what the play was before the ball was even snapped. Fields deserves a lot of blame, but the defensive-minded head coaching fielding a bottom-tier defense 2 years in a row is also a major problem. Justin Fields today, 16 for 29 completions, 211 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The Bears had a good amount of hype entering this year, but it's clear that they still have some work to do, which is fine. They are now 0-2. Top comment for this one. 86th best player in the NFL, off to a rough start. Damn, I didn't even know he was ranked 86. That's pretty fucking wild. The work they'll need to do figuring out how to get rid of Fields for a pick. Yeah. And then this was the final play. Buccaneers iced the game with an interception. Let's just watch this very briefly. Zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, it's just not good stuff. I mean, Claypool. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it's not a good throw, obviously, because if you look at it pretty closely, the dude is literally, the dude is literally throwing it with 2 guys around, and he's setting up Claypool to get lit the fuck up. Claypool also lets it go. Solid defensive play. Not a good throw, but you don't really expect that to be a pick. But anytime you throw it with that many white jerseys around, you never know what could happen. Somehow this meaningless last play validated both the Claypool soft and Fields can't read the field narrative at the same time. So that's what I decided to share with you guys for that last bit there. Typically not what I do on any NFL Weekly videos, but I had to share that. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching. I will catch you guys next week on NFL Weekly. Look forward to it. As always, this is Ollie Been Different. Always been different. And we out.